Hello and welcome to the next video of my World's 2023 preview series. If you didn't notice the last one in the top video, it came up in 720p. That's because, well, that's all I can get with my setup right now due to the size of these videos because they are so long. And that's kind of the way I want to do it. So if this one ends up being 720p, that is why. If you would like to participate and put your own tier list out there, because I know people just love to put tier lists out there in the comments, go to the Discord. That is where they are really appreciated. There are threads for each role, a predictions thread for Worlds. If you want to do any of that, do that there. So we're going to go over stats, champion pools, and then I'm going to rank the junglers. In this video, we're going to first start with stats. So these are based off of summer and summer playoffs. We're going to go over each stat, the three highest players and the three lowest players. In KDA, Peanut from Gen G, 7.2. That's extremely good. Yike from G2, 6.4. And Steel from DFM, 6.6, a Korean import in Japan. The three worst KDAs are Croc, 3.6 from Loud, Owner, 3.2 from T1, and Elyoya, 3.4 from Mad Lion. So Owner has the worst KDA amongst the junglers at this tournament. CS per minute. Who gets the most CS? No shock to me. Kanavi, 6.5. Peanut is a surprise at 6.2. And then Blabber from Cloud9, 6.6. So he has the highest CS per minute going into the tournament. The three lowest, we have Gemini from CFO Flying Oysters from the PCS at 4.9. Tarzan with 5 from LNG. And then Bean J from Team Wales has the lowest CS per minute going into the event at 4.6, which is extremely low in my opinion. In terms of kill participation, who is the most involved in their team's kills? Junjia at 80% for PSG Talent. 4 out of every 5 kills, Junjia has his fingerprints on them. Leads the way. Contract, 78.4 for NRG. And then Owner, 77.9 for T1. So it kind of makes sense that his KDA is one of the lowest if he is that heavily involved in making things happen for T1. The three lowest KPs. Bean J, 70.6, one of the lowest, which is 70 in my opinion is like the standard. So standard KP, but very low CS per minute, which isn't a great look in my opinion. Croc, 69.8, makes sense, great KDA, low KP. And then we have Elyoya with the lowest at the tournament, 67.5. So below 2 out of every 3 kills Elyoya is involved in for the Mad Lions, and his KDA is also awful. So maybe if he was more involved, he'd get more kills and assists, and the KDA would be better. Gold per minute. Who is getting the most gold outright? Kanavi, 389. Shun from BLG, 385. And then Blabber from Cloud9, also 385. The three lowest at the tournament. Sheo from BDS, 317. Gemini, 316. Bean J, 328. Gemini and Bean J are not surprises given the low CS per minute, but Sheo also joins them with, actually lower than Bean J's gold per minute. Now, next we're going to compare it to the gold share. Who actually gets the most gold relative to their team? So who is a glorified carry sometimes? Kanavi, 19.9%. Shun, 19.6%. Blabber, 19.7. So the three players with the most gold per minute, most share. Not a surprise. The three lowest shares. Sheo, 17.6. Gemini, 17. Bean J, 17.5. So very different than the top. I think top lane, there were different players in those spots because relative to the team, it changed. Whereas in the jungle role, it's pretty stock standard what a jungler does. The difference in damage per minute, gold per minute, it's like 60 gold per minute in between the best and the worst. So, over a 40-minute game, that's an item, almost 2/3 of an item, depending. what? Yeah, that's like 60 times 40, 2400. So that's the thing. In terms of damage per minute, so who is dealing the most damage at this event? Kanavi, 439 for JDG. Blabber, 435 for Cloud9. And then Razork at 442 actually leads the way going into this event in DPM. I'm sure not a lot of people thought Razork from Fnatic would be leader in that, but he is. Very carry-oriented when it comes to, or at least, better yet, aggressive in dealing damage. I think that's a better way to describe it. The three highest damage shares are those three players. Blabber, 18.2% of Cloud9's damage, and then Razork and Kanavi, 18.1% of their team's damage. So 18% is very high. In terms of damage per minute, the three lowest, we have BeanJ at 290 for Team Wales, Gemini 265, so that's almost 200 DPM less than Razork. And then the third lowest is Weiwei, 294. So Weiwei makes an appearance, but for the wrong reasons. Very passive, not dealing a lot of damage, under 300 DPM, one of the lowest. And because of that, his share is one of the lowest at 13.6%. So it's a very different look now, right? You have a difference of, like, Blabber is at 18.2, Weiwei at 13.6. That 4.5% goes somewhere else. The Shy, for example. And then all of a sudden the Shy can have carry-oriented performances, whereas other players maybe not as much. Elyoya, 12.6%. And then Gemini, 12.4%. So both of those players, very facilitator-oriented, not as involved and as important when it comes to dealing damage. Glorified tanks and facilitators. And that's a very different look. 7% is huge. Well, 6% is huge. It's a very big difference. Like, you look at 369 versus Summit, that's 6%. And you see 369's champion pool of Ornn versus Summit with all the Kennen games and things like that, and you say to yourself, yeah, champion pool makes a difference. And then, I mean, that's seen in the numbers and how the team drafts around the players. In terms of the 15-minute diffies and solo kills, we don't have LPL stats because, well, China doesn't like giving those out, I guess. LPL doesn't like giving those out easily. So, the three biggest gold diffies at this tournament. Yike, on average, in the LEC, puts up a 395 gold lead. That's one of the highest. Blabber, 467. And Junjia, for PSG, 491. Gold up on his opponents. The three worst at 15 minutes. Elyoya, on average, down 454 gold. That is shockingly bad for Elyoya. Sheo, 381 down. And then Contracts, 50 down. So there's not really a lot of people getting gapped except Elyoya and Sheo. Everybody else stays within 50 gold of their opponent, which should make it very interesting to see how things go in the first 15 minutes in the jungle role at this event. The three biggest CS differences. Peanut, on average, up 2 camps, 6 CS. Razork, up 10 CS, so 3 camps. And then Blabber, 15, so he's up roughly 4 to 5 camps. So those three players making a bit of a difference in that CS per minute in the early game. The three worst, Elyoya down 5, Sheo down 6, and then BeanJ also down 6 CS per minute at 15 minutes. XP difference. Who's getting experience, who's maybe getting Rift Herald, things like that. The three strongest, Blabber, 519. Pioshik, 323. So Pioshik, 2022 World Champion, playing for Team Liquid. One of the best XP diffies. And then Junjia, 328. The three lowest, BeanJ, on average, down 209 XP at 15 minutes. Sheo, 239. And Owner, 85. So really, there's only two players at over 200, 250 or so XP difference. Then you have Owner, who's, you know, just 80 behind, which isn't massive. Solo kills. This is based on solo kills per game, not outright solo kills. So who is getting the most opportunistic, you know, situations where they're getting solo kills? Because junglers obviously not super solo kill heavy. Pioshik had 8 in 40 games. Blabber, 5 in 29. And Elyoya, 4 in 25. The 3 least aggressive in this domain: Steel from DFM only had 1 solo kill in 27 games. Gemini 2 in 41, and Cuz 1 in 57. So those 3 players not as opportunistic when it comes to maybe invading, solo killing the oppositional jungler, finding opportunities to get solo kills in lane, maybe cleaning something up or whatever. I mean, junglers really don't get solo kills. That honestly, that probably didn't even need to be on the board because it's not that big of a deal, especially in this meta with the way that it transpired in summer. It was not super carry heavy. There were opportunities for that though, and that's a perfect segue into the champion pool section of this video. All right, so champion pool section. So you're going to see that this microphone is blocking some stuff at the bottom of the board. You know, I didn't utilize my space properly. Or, I guess better yet, there are more junglers, more champions picked than I anticipated going into this event amongst these players. So this is not ranked based on anything specific. Neither was the last board, by the way. Well, sorry, that's a lie. The last board was not ranked specifically. This one is from most champions played to least. So if the player's near the top, they played a lot of different stuff. Keen, for example, from KT Rolster, played more top laners, had the widest champion pool out of anybody going into this event this past year, which is partially why he ended up where he did on the rankings. Lowest, Sheo, had the least. So that's kind of the deal here. Down at the bottom of the board, I have a lot of things written down. These are champions that I couldn't fit on the board, and I'm going to kind of parse through that as I go along. I mean, I wrote Trundle and Kindred down a lot, so I probably won't mention them at all because I'm trying to mention champions, you know, that most played as well as unique picks, and if people played Trundle and Kindred a lot, but, you know, Canyon Kanavi owner didn't really. That's how this board got started. Then that it's what it is. So Canyon played 18 champions in 51 games. So he leads the way. This is why Canyon is still one of the elite players in the world. His 3 most played: Sejuani, Rel, and Viego. Some unique, interesting picks. He played Nautilus. Not many people did that. Sion, Xin, Diana, Zac. So those are it. Diana, Zac, Xin, Nico, and Nautilus. Not a ton of people played those champions. A few, but not many. He is, you know, part of the very few. Kanavi from JDG, Sejuani, Vi, Wukong. His most played. Some interesting picks for him: Belveth, Elise, Rek'Sai. He also played Nico. So, in closing, Nico, Belveth, Elise, Rek'Sai. 4 champions that Kanavi played that not many other people did. And you're thinking, now think to your region or your favorite junglers at this event. Did they play these champions? Some of this stuff might not be viable, but this is kind of a vibe. When you go to an event like this, you need to be able to do different things. You need to be able to offer different looks, and I feel like champion pools are pretty important. Owner from T1, Sejuani as well. Maokai, one of his most played, as well as Poppy. Some unique stuff out of Owner. We have Sion, Jax. So Sion and Jax were 2 things that Owner played that not many other people did. Everything else is pretty much picked by other people to some degree. He played Nocturne, but actually a lot of people end up playing Nocturne in the end when I was done with this board. Levi from Gam Esports, VCS. This is a big deal. This is why I give Levi a lot of credit. His 3 most played: Maokai, Ivern, Wukong. So our first most played Ivern. So he relies on that champion a lot. Some uniqueness out of his champion pool. We have Lilia. Under half the players at this event played Lilia. He played Zac. Not a lot of people played Zac. And he also played Karthus. And we saw Karthus last Worlds. I think that's a pocket pick for him where he's like, hey, I'm the best player on this team. I need to fucking carry. And that's when Levi pulls out the Karthus. Tarzan, Sejuani, Maokai, Nocturne are his most played. So another Nocturne joining Levi. Sorry, not Nocturne. My apologies. Wukong. Levi and Tarzan play Wukong. They've played Nocturne, but it's not one of their most played. Some interesting picks out of Tarzan. We have Lilia. So I guess, you know, all these top wider champion pool players did. Canyon, Kanavi, Owner, Levi, and Tarzan, but not a lot of players after that played it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Tarzan also played... Did I write Kindred down like that? Oh, Skarner. Facilitator-oriented champion. Only a few players played Skarner going into this event, and Tarzan's one of them. Contracts, NRG, Sejuani, Ivern, and Poppy are his most played. Some interesting picks. He played Scion. He played Amumu and Nidalee. So Scion, Amumu, Nidalee are the 3 picks by Contracts that are unique. Well, not unique, but more unique than others. Razork, Fnatic, we have Maokai, Ivern, and Wukong. No. Sorry, that's actually really wrong. Maokai, Ivern, and down here he played Talia. He's the only person at this event to play Talia this past split, as well as it being one of his most played. So that's definitely something interesting. Some uniqueness out of his champion pool. He played the Karthus and the Amumu. He also played, I guess that's where it starts and ends. He played some interesting stuff. He played a lot of Talia, which I think is not only a couple players, actually, one of their most played ended up being written down on the bottom here. And Razork's one of them. And I think that, you know, that's why his damage numbers end up being so good in the first part of the video. If you didn't watch that, it is definitely a eye-opening thing to see that Razork is so highly rated in that stat. Elyoya from Mad Lions. We have Sejuani, Ivern, and Nocturne. So we do have sorry, it's a Wukong, damn it. I keep messing this up. Somebody did actually play a lot of Nocturne. Never mind, I was about to speak out of line there. So Elyoya played a lot of Wukong, Ivern, and Sejuani. Jesus Christ. Maokai, not Ivern. No, it's Ivern. Trying to push this video out at, like, well past when I should be. So some interesting stuff out of Elyoya. This is why you're here. Rek'Sai, Bel'Veth. That looks like it's it, right? Rek'Sai, Bel'Veth, Gragas. Only a couple people played Gragas, and only a couple people played Jarvan going into this event. So that's some interesting stuff, more facilitator-oriented with the J4 there. River from Golden Guardians, we have Sejuani, we have Maokai, and we have... Uh-oh. Oh, shucks. Is that supposed to be one of the... Yeah, it probably is. So either it probably is Jarvan. River's Jarvan is his pocket pick, so it might be one of his most played. Some uniqueness out of River's champion pool. We have the the Nocturne, I guess, and the Nautilus. He did play. Yeah, he did. The Nautilus is something really unique out of River's champion pool, as well as the J4, which only a couple of people played, like I said. Perfect segue, into Junjia from PSG. Sejuani, Rel, so this is the first most played Rel in a while. And so Sejuani, Rel, and Maokai were Junjia's most played. Some uniqueness out of his champion pool. We have a Lilia here. We have a Zac. We have Graves. Yeah, that's it. So Zac, Graves, Lilia for Junjia, the only person to play Graves this past split. Pioshik, Team Liquid, Sejuani, Viego, and he also played a lot of Vi. And a few players actually played quite a bit of Vi now that we're getting into this part of the board here. Some uniqueness out of Pioshik's champion pool. Kindred, Trundle, but I said that's not as unique as I originally anticipated. Outside of that, he did play Nautilus, and I guess that's his most unique pick. He also played, Wukong and Nocturne, stuff that everybody played. Weiwei from Weibo, we have Sejuani, Maokai, and Wukong as his 3 most played. Something interesting about Weiwei's champion pool, his name is not written down here. He played Lilia. He played Lee Sin. Not a ton of people played Lee Sin. Oh, no, he didn't play Lee Sin. So I guess Lilia is his unique pick going into this event. I guess you could say Wukong he played. It was his most played, and not everybody played it. Peanut from Gen G, an interesting 3 most played. Not including any of the big 3 here going into this one. So he played a lot of Vi, Maokai, and Kha'Zix. The only person to have Kha'Zix listed as one of his 3 most played. A lot of people played it, but not as much as Peanut. Something interesting about Peanut's champion pool. He played Rumble. He played Skarner. He's the only Rumble player. And like I said, one of the couple Skarner players. Also, we have, I guess that's kind of it. He didn't play any Viego, at least listed on here. I could have missed it, but otherwise, that's interesting because only a few people didn't play any Viego this split. Bean J from Team Wales, we have Sejuani, Vi, Maokai. Something interesting out of Bean J's champion pool. His name's not written down here. So it is the Xin Zhao. Yeah, only Canyon and him played Xin Zhao this past split. So that's something pretty unique, huh? So Bean J just pulls out the Xin Zhao and ints the game if he so chooses. Adi, Rainbow 7. Sejuani, Viego, and Maokai were his 3 most played. Something interesting about Adi's champion pool, he played a Mumu. So he played a Mumu and he played Rek'Sai. Well, a couple people played Rek'Sai, only a couple people played a Mumu. Steel from DFM, he played a lot of Sejuani. He played a lot of Maokai, and he played a lot of Poppy. Something interesting about Steel's champion pool, he played Nidalee, he played Rumble. So actually, Peanut wasn't the only one. Steel also played Rumble this past split. Cuz from KT, stock standard, played the 3 most played. Sejuani, Rel, Viego. Something interesting about Cuz's champion pool. Let's see here. Is there anything? No, there really isn't. His champion pool is rather dry when it comes to interesting picks. Oh, that's a lie. Played Skarner. And actually, it's a really, good thing hopefully you're not skipping around and missing all this nonsense where I'm all over the damn place. He played Volibear. Nobody else in this tournament played Volibear this past split. I don't think in any role, let alone where it's supposed to be in the jungle. So, Cuz could pull out Volibear, and nobody else has. Nobody else has felt the confidence to do so recently. Blabber from Cloud9. We've got some Sejuani action. We've got Maokai. And we have Kindred as one of his most played. Very carry-oriented. That's why his stats ended up being the way they were. Something unique out of Blabber's champion pool, outside of the Kindred being his most played. There's nothing really here, so we're gonna bank on that as something fun with Blabber. Shun from BLG, we've got Vi, we have Maokai, and we have Wukong being one of his most played. So not a lot of people. Probably just over half, maybe 2/3 of the players at this event played Wukong this past split. And only a handful of them, it was one of their most played, Shun being one of them. Something interesting about Shun's champion pool, he did play Nidalee. That is a pocket pick for him that draws bans. I personally don't think it's ban-worthy, but everybody else does, I guess. I think Kindred also is in that conversation for him, but his win-loss doesn't really support that on those champions, so I think it's kind of weird. Lee Sin is a unique pick for him, though. Yike from G2. I figured Yike would have had a giant champion pool like Broken Blade, but it really isn't the case. So he does have some uniqueness to his champion pool, but it wasn't super wide. So we've got Rel as one of his most played, as well as Maokai, and then Trundle. A lot of people played Trundle, but nobody quite played it like Yike. Yike played a lot of Trundle this past split. And then some uniqueness. Nobody else played Evelyn or Fiddlesticks, and both of them were picks by Yike. So that's something really interesting in my opinion, and things that we should look for. That's why I give G2 so much credit. Gemini from CFO. Sejuani, Maokai, and the Poppy were his three most played. He played Lee Sin, and that's kind of how spicy Gemini's champion pool is. Croc from Loud. We have Sejuani, we have Nocturne, and we have Poppy. So he is the one that played a lot of Nocturne. He played Nocturne more than anybody else this past year. So Loud are going to make the lights turn off, so Route can go get kills in team fights and things like that, I guess. That's for the CB Low faithful in the comment section. Interesting picks by Croc. It looks like he may have played Lee Sin. And that's kind of where that starts and stops when it comes to interesting picks. For Sheo from BDS, we have Sejuani, we have Maokai, and we have Ivern as his three most played. Something interesting, he did play Gragas, and he also played Lilia. So we have two picks that not many people played in the case of Sheo, despite his champion pool being one of the smallest. I mean, to have two unique picks is something to put in your pocket, right? A wider champion pool than I really thought. I mean, 18 champions. I mean, the most played, I think 369 played, no, it was in Keen, like I said, played 15 in his games. And it was in 57 games, or Canyon 18 and 51. So, that's it for the champion pool portion of this video. Now on to the rankings. Alright, now for the ranking portion of this video. I know this is where you all skipped to and want to comment down below with your opinions on my rankings when you skip to the end and you're just like, I don't agree with this and this is why, but yet I didn't listen to why you have it the way you do. So, in this case, go to the Discord and participate in the threads. That's where you post your tier list. That's where you can do that. I'm all fine with disagreeing. I just don't. If you can post a comment before the length, if a comment can be posted before the amount of time it would take to watch the entire video, I doubt whether you actually listen to the opinion I had or not as to why that is, in which you disagree with, by the way. I think you can disagree, but if you haven't listened to a person's opinion, how can you say you actually disagree with them? You know, I don't see it. So, let's do this. 23 players. Easily 23rd is Gemini. Not a big Gemini stan, to say the very least. I'm not very, very high on him at all going into this event. I do not like the numbers. I do not like what I've seen out of him at the last couple events. Worlds 2022. Next, we have let's see here. We can go with probably Bean J. Bean J is very young, but I think I'm just kind of salty that Saigon Buffalo aren't here, so just ignore me saying that. His numbers aren't strong. I was never overly impressed with Bean J all that much internationally. Shogun kind of took the stage for me. So Bean J is there. We're going to go with Croc at 21. I don't like the fact that he's a player that... Let me look back behind me. Yeah, I was right in this. He's not very high facilitator and doesn't offer... He's like a middle ground, and I think that at this event, given his smaller champion pool, he can't be a middle ground guy. You need to offer more, especially in the play-ins where you got... I mean, shoot, we've got some elite junglers down here. Steel is 20th. I think Steel showed once again that he is a pretty good Korean import jungler. Is he major region level? Probably not, but I think when he goes to an event, he's world class. And that's really all you can really ask for. Those are 4 minor regions. We got, still have Adi, Junjia, and Levi. I'm going to go Adi 19. I think that this is close. I think if you, it would not shock me at all if, like, there was a world where, actually, we're just going to segue. 18th is Sheo. So, there is a world, let's just say that if, like, BDS beat Golden Guardians, I think that's quite likely. I'm not saying it is likely, but I think it's very possible. Adi versus Shea would be interesting. Experience versus a rookie. See how that would look as they're both facilitators, purely, in my opinion. And I think because of that, Shea's kind of not as strong at this event as many of the other junglers here, due to that fact. I really am just not inspired by Shea, but he's very young. He's very inexperienced. So there's not a knock against him necessarily. Next, we're going to have Contract, 17th. Apparently, somebody said he was like, I guess he did really well in 2017 Worlds against Korea. Yeah, back in my day, this and this happened. Oh, do you remember when, the LCS would finish like top 4 at Worlds? Yeah, I remember that too, back in the day, right? Like, we're not talking about stuff back in the day. That doesn't matter. So, theoretically, Contracts, great that he's back at Worlds, but at the same time, this is a very solid group of junglers, and I just think that he is where he is. Now, I'm not going to lie here. All right, so I believe the next couple junglers would be higher if they simply performed better. In my mind, they are better than where I have to put them. But I think it is just a matter of fact that they have to be where I'm going to put them. We're going to put Elyoya 16th. I think Elyoya is one of the best Western junglers. One of the best. But he has absolutely sucked this past split. Absolutely sucked. He sucked at MSI too. Like, I believe if Elyoya like shows up and actually plays like Elyoya is supposed to, he's up and around here. Like, I think he can keep up with Eastern junglers. I really do. But right now, he ain't even keeping up with Western junglers. So he's there. Man. This is tough. This is a tough group here. This is a tough group. Pioshik. I think I can only think back to Pioshik's like journeys in the jungle in this past LCS that sometimes left me wondering. I think Pioshik also can be over here, but I mean, this is a deep tournament. I think that there are a lot of better junglers than Pioshik here. Pioshik looked great at Worlds last year, but if you didn't watch LCS, especially like spring and early summer, he looked very bad. Now with APA, things have gotten better than with Harry, but he's 15th for me, and things are tough right now for me in this. So I think June. So right now, like the next 4 I have in my mind are so close. We're going Junjia 14th though. This is an opportunity for Junjia to really put his foot down as a major region jungler, where he's going to be on a major region team next year. Whether that's in the LPL or in the West, he's going to be somewhere. There's no way in hell he's staying with PSG. He is the guy leaving this this deal. 13th, I'm going to go with River. I felt like wherever I put Junjia, I kind of have to put River as well. I think that they give a similar vibe, and River kind of, is Junjia from a few years ago. just a guy that makes his way and dominates an international event and gets his name out there. Rivers, excellent Western-wise, and I think he's world-class and can compete with anybody at this event in terms of, obviously not like the top, tippity-top, but he can compete with most people here. So there's that. We're going to go with Weiwei, 12th. This is going to upset some people. Some people have Weiwei very high. I'm not a big Weiwei fan. I'm really not. I think, you know, they're like, oh, but he juggles the lane so well with the Shy inting his face off. No, the Shy's inting his face off. And he has the best facilitating mid laner possibly ever in Xiaohu, which I think helps. And I wonder how much of Weiwei is like, oh, Weiwei's so great, is because Karsa. A lot of people don't like Karsa, I guess. So Weiwei's 12th. I think Weiwei is fine. I'm not inspired by Weiwei at all, which is it's not his fault. It's more mine than his. Next, I have Cuz, 11th. I think if there's anybody that's going to hold back KT, it's Cuz. People are going to say, how can you have Cuz and Weiwei below Western junglers? I just did it, and that's how. Because Weiwei, I don't feel anything. Low damage. I mean, involved, but I think Xiaohu's really the one shot calling, making things happen for that team. And then we look at Cuz, and Cuz is what holds back KT if KT are held back at all. And it's very reminiscent of DRX last year a bit. And I do wonder how that's going to look. Now, KT obviously did a lot better than DRX last year, so they're not an underdog by any means. But I do believe that, like, the Dark Horse title could go to them. Because, frankly, KT have never gotten the job done, and their players are players that never get the job done, right? So, Cuz is 11th. I think this is where I end up putting Levi. I put Levi 10th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 10 here. So, Levi 10th. I think Levi can absolutely keep up with everybody outside of who I'll have at the very top of this list. He's excellent. Very, very great carry-oriented jungler. One of the best minor region players ever to never really get a full-fledged shot in a major region. I mean, he played with JDG for a little while, but not long enough. 9th, we're going to go Razork. I think Razork has been excellent this year. A pleasant surprise, to say the very least. You know, the stats really actually made me do this, because I may have had him below, maybe 11th, 12th, and move those guys up. But after looking at the stats and really thinking about it, Razork offers some things that a lot of people at this tournament don't. And you're going to skip to this part and be like, why is Razork there? And it's going to be like, well, you should probably have watched the beginning of the video to know why. Next, I have Blabber. I think this is pretty easy. We're going to go Blabber 8th. World class, performs. NA might not perform, but Blabber does. So Blabber is easily 8th. I think that's pretty easy. Yike is going to be 7th, and I am very excited for him at this event to have an opportunity to showcase his talents once again at an international event. I thought MSI 2023, he was a difference maker. Those stats do not lie. The film does not lie. He looked like one of the best players at the event. And at this event, if he can do that one more time, we're talking about a guy that is in that conversation with the top of the Eastern junglers as well. If he can hang with them, there's no reason not to. The fact that he's from the team that he's on should not play a role into the individual and how he matches up when he plays. So I'm very excited to see. He's one of those players that I really want to watch at this event. After that, I'm probably going to put Owner 6. Faker's kind of doing everything for him, I guess. It's tough. It's tough. But I think in the end, facilitator oriented. Zaves kind of carries a bit. Faker gets carry opportunities when he probably shouldn't. But I think Owner is definitely very good. One of the youngest players at the event in the role. If not, actually, could be the youngest. So we'll just see how he does, how he develops, as people use him as a scapegoat for T1's issues when they have an old man in mid lane. Not to say that that old man is not the most valuable player. We saw what Faker did at we saw what I always say this in Faker's job security is not being there, and that showed this past split. Next, when push comes to shove, I'm gonna go Sean 5th. Carry oriented, plays a lot of vibes, so there's some facilitator vibe there. But Sean, alongside Yagao, that's a clear situation. Carry jungle, facilitator mid, and hopefully Yagao doesn't hit. That's BLG's angle, and Sean has done that well this year. So he's 5th. You know, I want to do this the opposite, but I'm not. So Tarzan's 4th. I think Tarzan has the potential to be the best jungler at this tournament. He's always had that capability. He has shown flashes where it's like, wow, he is looking on another level. We saw that against JDG. In my opinion, he was the reason why LNG, a lot of why LNG had a chance keeping Kanavi under wraps. So, you know, he's 4th, but I think in any game he could be 1st. Now, obviously, if I had to, you know, in theory, if I had to pick who's going to be better than who, I'm not picking Tarzan, but I think that in any game he could do it. 3rd is Peanut. I really liked what Peanut offered from a carry-oriented perspective this past split. That's not to say that I think that's his best role, because it's not, but that was a real interesting stat line, right, with Peanut. Definitely not something you'd expect, especially relative to everybody else here. Very resource heavy this past split, and I mean, that's an interesting look out of Gen G that we haven't seen in the past. Actually, I mean, like I just said, we don't want him on carries and put Chovy on carries. So, I mean, that's a different look. And then obviously the top two, I can't say it enough. I always say this. Canyon is 2nd and Kanavi is 1st. And this is anytime this could switch. This switched at last Worlds. I think I had Canyon above Kanavi after Worlds. And I put Kanavi back above Canyon now. They are clearly, in my opinion, the two best in the world at their role. A lot of people want to condemn Canyon. Oh, he sucked in summer, this and that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I know that with my top rankings, I considered summer and this or that. And when push comes to shove, I really think Canyon is an excellent player. That champion pool portion of this video kind of proved that. Kanavi, 2nd in the champion. There's no secret here to the fact that I really value wide champion pools. And Kanavi showed a lot of, you know, a different look this past year, dropping the ego. Now, Canyon struggles with that. And Showmaker even said, like, he really doesn't want to play Wukong. He really doesn't want to play Maokai and stuff like this. Like, and he wishes the meta would change so, you know, Canyon would, you know, it would help D+. It's essentially what I got from that in spring or summer. I forget when he said that. But the point is, Kanavi doesn't have that anymore. Kanavi is, like, playing at another level. I mean, I did not watch Asia games, but apparently he did really well there. Kanavi's just absolutely cracked. And, you know, that's why it's so impressive that Tarzan was able to actually keep up with Kanavi and make some things happen against him. I mean, that was a big deal. And I think everything for JDG runs through Kanavi. And it's going to be like, wow, look at, he has JDG 1st in both polls. It's like, in both rankings. It's like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And I'm not ashamed of it. So that's it for the jungler video. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.